And let's read some books. God, look at all the stuff we've gone through. Holy shit. Stove, I ordered pizza today. Fuck you. Oh, cool. You can see those battles there. Neat. I'm gonna read all the book tomes, because we never read those. So let's start from, the bottom all the way up. Starting with Lenny. Want to hear a secret? This is kind of embarrassing, but I used to have a dream once, like Pete does now. Yeah, I know, I'm still younger than him with a long future ahead of me, but what could I do? Life's too rough for that. Others say that rats are a pathetic bunch who were too incompetent to join even the smallest syndicate, let alone a wing. Filthy losers who feed on junk and leftovers, not making any effort to change. Back when I was a young kid, I didn't like that. I thought I was better than those rats, so I decided to get into an examinee town. Little did I know that I'd be the one choice I'd regret the most. I begged and nagged at my parents, wanting to achieve that stupid dream. How did it go, you asked? Seems you're just as stupid, aren't you? I wouldn't be hanging around with these folks if I made it now, would I? What I'm saying is, dreaming won't do jack shit for you. They didn't end up here because they gave up trying. Hell, they wouldn't have set foot on this gutter in the first place if they had what it takes to achieve their dreams. You get it now? Pete's a huge idiot. Yeah, you can see Angela in the back there. It's like the first still frame you see of the game. So this is basically the story of abandoned dreams. Mang-Chi. Did you know? There's grates for each alley in the back streets. Funny, ain't it? Trash and a trash can are grating each other. The parts that are under the protection of a syndicate, office, or association are pretty safe. Sweepers can't raid those streets easily. Putting the people who live there in a different grade from those who don't, though, is pointless, honestly. Sure, it's a bit safer over there, but we're talking about the back streets. Get it? You know what's funnier? Even kids would grow up themselves according... Wait, hang on a second, what? Even kids who Oh, I misread that. Even kids who group themselves according to what part of the... Oh, wow. Like, so weird trying to read the cadence here. Even kids would group themselves according to what parts of the streets they live in. They'd even shun the others whose clothes or manners didn't fit their church style. I had no choice but to accept this sad truth. You wondering how things were in the alleys I lived? Couldn't afford to pay protection fees to a syndicate, so the sweepers came down at night and collected most of my neighbors. I had to witness them take chunks of flesh out of my parents and brothers while they were still breathing. Don't pity me, though. My story ain't nothing special around here. It's really interesting that, I don't know if it's intended or by consequence, but the city very much has a caste system involved. Like, we know this for a fact, but it goes all the way down to, like, just dudes in an alleyway. It's the leader of the rats. It's Pete. There's not a lot of peeps who hang around in the back streets alone. It's cause that's just madness. Weak and dowdy folks gotta band together to survive. Get into a small syndicate or anything and make a living somehow. Some ignorant fool makes a scene in the back streets on their own. They're just making themselves a target as soon as others notice they're alone. That's why we move in groups. We're called rats for a reason. We crawl about the dark in packs, and jump at prey for a chance to bite them apart when we spot one. So you're wondering if we rats have any dreams? I guess belonging to a proper syndicate, if any. We're just too tacky and amateurish to be called one. Ooh, excuse me. We hate being bound to rules, so hell will freeze over before one of us joins an office. And no rat I know would move to an examinee town and study for wing entrance exams. Those nerds at examinee towns ain't too different from rats like us. We're all dreaming silly dreams that'll never come true with our petty skills. An office, a wing, a syndicate, whatever. Think it's an easy task to belong to a decent group? People just accept what they got and live on. But still, I wanted to have a dream. Motif here being dreams, I guess. Then again, when you're at the bottom of the barrel, all you could do is look up. So this is the first like instance of seeing an office where we fight Yun's office. Also, man, I gotta clear my throat. Hang on a second. There we go. The Society of Fixers is based entirely upon meritocracy, or, you know, a caste system. The greater you are, the higher you can climb. On the other hand, if you don't have the capability, you should be thankful for any organization that accepts you and stay low. Thing is, capability can mean many things. For some, it could be physical strength, and others might have superior intellect. It seems kinda unfair to me that they make arbitrary evaluations of a concept that can be taken in so many different ways. Not that I think I have some hidden talent that deserves a better grade or anything, though. I do feel a bit upset, but I think I'm at the right place. The jobs I usually do are looking for lost cats at night. You can tell how low my spot is, yeah? I'm not a huge fan of the jobs I'm doing right now, of course. I mean, sure, I wouldn't say no to some flashier requests. I just accepted to carry on with my life. So this is a fixer of Yun's office. And we're guessing Yun's office is like the bottom of the barrel. Finn's page. The boy we ruthlessly murdered. It's been a while, sis. Actually, I talked to you some time ago. By myself, of course. It sounds a bit lonely, but I'm fine. Today's not going to be the same as days before. I have good news. I finally joined an office run by this guy named Yun and officially became a fixer. You're proud to see your precious little younger brother grow up and make it, aren't you? Isn't it cool? I told you there's no need to worry about me. Oh, about Yun's office. I think it's a really nice place. No, I'm not lying. Our operator Yun is a bit cold, but he teaches me a lot of things. And there's also Eri, who's my senior. I've yet to be friends with her, but she seems like a good person too. For now, they're giving me small jobs like searching for lost cats. Man, Yun's office kinda sucks. Maybe they're worried I'm too inexperienced to handle tougher stuff. It's not really fancy, but if I start with small tasks like this and work up slowly, I'm gonna be a great fixer one day, yeah? My heart is already pumping with excitement. When I become a proud and dashing fixer, I'll buy a nest migration ticket and get a nice new home for you. I could buy my gear at a workshop thanks to your help, and all that... Oh, I could buy my gear at a workshop thanks to you, and all that... Though that's not all. You always looked after me, sis. It's kind of embarrassing to talk about this. Anyways, don't worry about me, and do the things you want to do. I know you were always too busy caring for me to pursue your own interests. You offered to give me a prosthetic body or even a minor procedure the last time we met, but I'm doing fine without any of that stuff. And you got money to earn yourself. Ugh, I'm tired. So I'm going now. I ran around the whole town chasing a cat all day. Night, sis. I hope we see each other again. Too bad you won't, 'cause you're a book now, kid. I do appreciate Finn, though. He gave me my first energy regen page, and I needed that shit. Oh my god, that's a good point. We have not seen Finn's sister. Huh. Eri. You have a lot of things to prepare for before you can jump into the fixer business. Starting with choosing equipment, you need clothes to protect your bodily accessories, etc. But before any of that, body augmentation comes first. There's no point having masterful skills or fancy equipment if your body can't keep up, you know? And training hard isn't going to do it. There's a limit to training your body, and the fittest body is still no match for mechanical prosthetics or bionic organs. You gotta be able to keep your body intact to do anything, so you're pretty much forced to spend a fortune on it. Oh god. There is an allegory to this that is super familiar to me, but I gotta remember what it is. Altered Carbon. One of the big story elements about Altered Carbon is that humanity has basically transcended like death via flesh because they like put themselves on a little USB stick that is stuck in the back of your neck. But the problem is, in order to get a new body, as it were, it is criminally expensive. So the moment you get a second body, you are in like debt for the rest of your for a natural life, and you have to get a job to pay this body back. In some instances, you are forced to do jobs. And this is kind of the same thing. If you want to be like a big shot and become a fixer, you have to have body augments, which puts you in a lot of debt to where you do jobs, so you pay for the augments. Sorry, I digress. I actually liked, I like cyberpunk stories a lot, and Altered Carbon was a really good book that was an okay TV series that was an okay anime on Netflix. I say okay, but I actually really like Altered Carbon re-sleeved on Netflix. I think it's a really, like, visually stunning show. There's a ton of methods to enhance your body. Exoskeletons, bionic surgery, nano-tattoos, prosthetic body parts, you name it. Deciding what workshop tech to employ is up to preference and purpose. Some would want insane muscular strength that could let them carry a power pole one-handed, and others would want ludicrous speed, quick enough to skip over multiple blocks in a split second. It's so diverse, I could go on forever. You need any ability, they got you covered. The only hurdle is money. In the city, money is what gets you power. That's why the first thing we notice when we assess our phones is how much they spent on their bodies. Oh, of course, some technologies patented by close groups like certain syndicates or wings are hard to get your hands on even if you have all the cash in the world. Just look at me, though. It took a teensy little procedure for me to lift this humongous weapon with one hand. That's the kind of power you could get, you see. Body augmentation is more of a necessity than an option these days, so you want to study up on that. You don't want to stay a weakling when everyone else is getting their augmentations now, do you? Ah, so Finn truly was an idiot when he declined his sister's offer for a prosthetic body. Ah, Finn, you're a big, dumb, lovable idiot. There is one thing I like about this thing is, there's something here that I was looking at. I think it's this line here. All the means of, like, getting, augmentations. I kind of fell off the game because, like, I broke the main quest and I didn't know where to go afterwards, but, Caves of Cud is very similar in that, if you know where to go, you can just fully fucking replace your body with prosthetic parts. It's kind of awesome. I think by the time I ended that game, I had eyes that could analyze data. I had a head that could prevent blunt force trauma. I had Hulk hands, giant biceps, augmented legs that would allow me to jump 6 tiles, and then I had 2 robot arms on my back that would hold guns. Caves of Cud was kind of fucking hilarious. Augmenting my uncut and well-hung cyberdong to expand through walls and then open up the streets of the back streets. God, that sounds like fucking something from Sunny in Philadelphia. Yun's page. PM-verse would be great for a game of Cyberpunk. I think that's what's gonna happen with what's it called? With their next game, because they had announced a dungeon crawler game, and I imagine it's gonna be like a mix of, well, I say a mix of CUD and like wizardry, but you know, that's just me saying like, you're gonna have a system that is first-person crawling. You're gonna have teams of fixers, and they have to be augmented. So you're gonna have the equipment layer for characters, then the bio-augment portion of their equipment. So you're going to have the permanent equipment, then the swappable equipment. Now that I think about it, Shadowrun was kind of just that, wasn't it? Except Shadowrun was isometric view, RPG adventures, while this is more like Grimrock. Finn was bungling in many ways. He had no talent. He refused to take modification procedures. All he armed himself with was a tiny weapon. I didn't exactly dislike him, though. They say a delicate person like him is nothing short of pathetic here, but he had passion regardless, and was going to be our colleague from now on. Besides, it's not too common to see such a passionate fellow in this grueling mess of a city. He was an interesting one. Then why did I exploit him? Exploit is a rather harsh word to describe it, if you ask me. Hang on, I gotta clear my throat. Ugh, sorry. A sloppy kid like him would have gotten killed anyways, abducted in the back streets and fading away while witnessing his innards getting ripped apart from his body. And that's one of the tamer examples I could give. In this city, worse things are happening here and there on a daily basis. If he didn't die there, he could have faced a much more terrible fate somewhere else, isn't that right? Never mind, this is all but rationalization. Think what you want. I like the moral ambiguity of Yun. He straight up says, like, yeah, I'm exploiting a dumb, innocent kid that all he has to his name is passion. But really, like, he was gonna fucking die anyways, might as well have supervision. Brotherhood of Iron, these are the weird, like, glitched folks we saw a while ago. They're all purple, so it doesn't matter the sequence. I, frankly, don't recommend replacing your entire body with a machine. Especially with a cheap one. Aside from basic issues such as vulnerability to damage and creaky noises, cheap prosthetic bodies compromise too much. You're basically giving up all the joys of life. Can you imagine? You can't taste anything when you eat delicious food, and you can't feel the softness and coziness of a good bed. You can't feel anything get stuck in your body, be it a piece of paper or a knife. The head remembers those feelings, but you can't experience them again. There are ways to overcome it, though. You could buy a desire simulation chip and plug it into your brain, inject medications, or use other methods. They're just absurdly expensive. You're better off saving up for a more expensive prosthetic body if you really want your senses back. High-quality, pricey bodies come with sensory organs. As I always say, it's all about money in this world. There's a very funny episode of Ghost in the Shell Second Gig that addresses this. I think it's like the first or second episode, so there's like no spoilers here. But basically it covers a pilot who had to undergo like full prosthesis after a war, which means basically everything apart from his brain was like a fake-ass body. And he got like one of the earlier bodies, so he was a Ken doll down there. And and like a lot of the episode is him having like power fantasies, but also like this weird like existential quandary. Like he oftentimes wonders why his peers eat when he knows they can't taste. He often wonders why he himself has these like desires when he can't feel any of it. It's a really riveting episode if you want to watch a dude basically like, you know, I hearken it to like very much like 18 to 24-year-old internet guy trying to be edgy. It's that kind of episode, but it's really funny. This is basically what a Destiny Exo has to deal with. I don't know what an Exo is, but I imagine it's just basically a robot, yeah. Destiny Exos died to the existential crisis of not being able to fuck. Ah. What's your favorite food? That's the question I used to ask the most when I still had a human body. I love eating. Talking about food was a huge delight for me. We would share each other's tastes and preference and sometimes head to a restaurant for a meal. Just like that. But now, my body's a machine, as you can see. I can't taste anything anymore. Thanks for pointing that out. Mo told me to stop dreaming about it. I still want to try more delicious foods, though. Hot and flavorful, spicy and sweet, stuff like that. I guess this body is too cheap to restrain delusional thoughts like this. If we get more money and change our bodies to new ones, then maybe I'll be able to stop these thoughts from getting in the way of my work. Man, that's just kind of sad. Why would you go, like, full prosthetic body if you love eating? EXO is a person mind planted on a robot. The issue with them is that they would mind die due to not reconciling the fact that they aren't human anymore. That's what rebooting... Oh yeah, necessity, I guess. That makes sense. I guess he needed to work and he needed a robot body, so he forfeited his ability to eat. Which really sucks. It shows how fucked up the city is. Which is really interesting to say, because you know what this tells me? PM announced that they're making 2 games. Each of them are about fixers, examining the city, and dealing with abnormalities. You know what that tells me? Nothing in Ruina is not gonna matter if these are direct sequels. Granted, these could be things that are happening during the events of Library of Ruina, but it's a great window into just how fucked the city is. Arnold. The city consists of 25 nests and 25 districts of backstreets that surround those nests. Ugh, excuse me. And countless offices and syndicates reside in the back streets. You know what's a surefire way for a syndicate to make a name for itself among all the competitors? The simplest method is office raiding. You literally storm into an office and wreak havoc on it. You never know who the winner will be until you fight. It can stop a good beating and one side surrendering, but some syndicates raid offices out of pure boredom and kill everyone. Each syndicate has its own way of operation. It goes without saying that the syndicate has more fame to gain out of raiding a high-grade office filled with seasoned fixers, so the offices have to stay sharp at all times. But you also have to watch it. If you misjudge your opponents, you'll end up dead before you can try anything. You know what this is? This is Metal Gear Solid 5. In Metal Gear Solid 5 you had a system where you could, like, raid other people's, it's not PMCs, FOBs. You could raid their FOBs, steal their shit, kill their people, and then build yourself up from those resources. That's what this is. You could make the argument that Ruina isn't Lobotomy Corporation's direct sequel because there's a time gap between the tree falling and the creation of the library. I'd argue is that it's a direct sequel in terms of games, but in time frame, yes, there is a time gap that you could expand the lore of the series with, so you are right, in a loose sense. Hook office. I forgot what these guys were. What were the hooks? Back when we were still part of the Killer Syndicate, we got a client asking us to hunt some crazed syndicate. They were shaking like a drenched rat as they came in. I suppose they were scared at places like this. They asked us to catch the wicked criminals kidnapping people in parts of the streets they lived in. We had one question, though. It's nice that they're giving us a job, but why ask a syndicate like ourselves instead of going out to the Zwei or other offices that are better suited for handling public safety issues? And they said they did try to request an office at first with the money raised by their neighbors, but the offices asked for a ridiculous sum of money, claiming that there's much preparation that they need to take before they could uproot a whole syndicate. Poor fellow begged for help, but the office personnel didn't even flinch. Well, money is the only thing that gets fixers moving, so that's understandable. And I think their friend recommended us to them while they were looking for another way, if I remember it right. Introduced us as a trustworthy syndicate, so they came all the way to our hideout. Trustworthy syndicate. It's a shame, really. I can still remember the client's head staring daggers at me, hanging from the top of a power pole. The syndicate paid us more cash. What can I do about it? We don't write official contracts or anything, so the highest bidder gets our favor. Don't use glaring at me like that, pal. We were told by our new client to hang their head and guts out in the street, to make an example of them. Those sick fucks even used some kind of singularity to keep him alive. Poor bastard. Should have requested an office in the first place somehow. Man, that's fucked up. I believe Taein is the one, so let's look at the cool edgelord Naoki. There's a huge variety of workshops. As diverse as syndicates and fixers are, weapons need individuality to stand out in this day and age. Old-fashioned swords or guns won't stand a chance against modern weapons loaded with new technology, I bet. From cheap and common gear to bionic equipment like the one Taein's using, to equipment with ridiculous abilities that's almost indistinguishable from magic. Don't get too hyped, though. Oh god, I got a belch, hang on. Damn, I couldn't belch. Uh-oh. More options mean you need to be more cautious about choosing the right one for you. If you had the time and money, you could buy them all and test them out at your leisure, but we have neither, do we? Don't just buy the things others recommend without doing your own research, though. That's one of the stupidest things you could do. Might fit them, but that doesn't necessarily mean you'll have a good time with it. Still confident you can wield them well? Get real, buddy. Workshop equipment is not your average weaponry, so before you choose your weapon, observe others carefully. See if any workshop products might suit you. Having keen eyes is all part of our skills. Guess why people choose us in our office out of all the tough fixers out there. I like this line a lot. Equipment with ridiculous abilities that's almost indistinguishable from magic. Oh, there we go, finally. There's a famous criticism out there for sci-fi stories that is that line. At some point, technology becomes indistinguishable from magic, and a lot of people criticize sci-fi stories when that becomes the case. Because one of the things that draws you into a story is the ability to explain why your system does the things it does. That's also kind of the reason why Ruina is so fascinating. Because they explain what exactly happened here. Well, this company came upon a unique technology that allows them to manipulate the flesh and rewind it back to a certain state. Granted, that is sci-fi indistinguishable from magic, but they provide a logical explanation of this technology save states who you were as you put your butt on the chair. And no matter what happens, so long as we click this button, we load the save state and you get your body back, and you don't know a thing. It's really great, isn't it? I like that they put this in the game. It's a really nice, a nice thing to be aware of. Ah, this guy, right. It's not entirely impossible for a syndicate member to engage in fixer work, or vice versa. It's a pretty common occurrence, actually. If you have the skills to back yourself up, multiple organizations will make sweet offers to recruit you. What matters the most here is the relationships you've built. Your fate depends on the things you've done, or karma, in other words. Why the fuck is McCullen talking about karma? We didn't start out as fixers in the beginning, no. We were in... Oh wait, I read that wrong. We didn't start out as fixers in the beginning. No, we were in fact part of a homicidal syndicate. Just see how intimidating we look. We used to be Murder for Hire in District 23. It was a small syndicate ran by Naoki, I, and a few others. Oh, wow. So Naoki used to be the old boss. I didn't know that. But our influence started to expand bit by bit since the young and talented Tane joined us. Our current boss was originally the representative of an office we raided. They visited us once they heard we shredded their fixers brutally and hung their ragged corsets on the streets like scarecrows. Said they'll need people like us. Wow, that line read was terrible, sorry. I thought they were just freaky with weird tastes. But looking back, now I get why they chose us. It's a strategy. Each office does all kinds of sensational stunts to attract the attention of potential clients in this oversaturated market. They hold radical events such as pay for one and request to get one for free, or group weapons into different grades and offer a free exchange for one of their most expensive ones. And the gullible clients fall for it. They don't know how much more that 1+1 deal actually costs, or how it has limitations on the grade of requests you can make. They don't bother looking up to check if the top grade weapons are in fact used ones. Seems our boss didn't want to add lies to this industry that's already full of filthy schemes, but they still had to catch people's eyes somehow. And this is the result. Hire guys like us and proudly advertise it. Fixers from a former killer syndicate will tear things up for you. You can count on us. Hang a slogan like this, people will get hooked up. If that suits their taste, that is. I like the idea of like, hey, we hired murderers! Cool, bro. Missed stuff, what have I missed? You just missed me talking into the air, really. Also, you missed Judgment Bird, but, eh. How's my new weapon? Isn't it sick? Union Company is the go-to workshop brand for ready-made bionic weapons and equipment. Their prices are pretty reasonable compared to most procedures and workshop weapons, too. On top of superb performance, you can replace or attach them easily without having to worry about allergies, so it's pretty damn handy, you see. Oh, bionic equipment is pretty simple. It's like a weapon you attach to your body. It's not at all scary or dangerous, though. Wait. It's not at all scary or dangerous, though it could feel a bit awkward when you use it for the first time. In my case, I accidentally ripped Naoki's clothes while walking by and cut my own cheek when I flailed out of frustration. But now that I've gotten used to it, I feel as if I have 3 hands. If you have trouble finding the perfect procedure or weapons for you, try bionic equipment. I guarantee it's good. God, this is like the most anime thing. This dude getting used to his weapon, tears off his fucking superior's clothes. Oh, sorry! And then she fucking runs at him with knives. Wow, that was all a canard. I didn't realize it was 4 chapters. Meanwhile, Urban Myth is only 2. What the fuck? This is one I've been meaning to readdress because, like, I genuinely don't know what's up with it. Fucking Tane here making the sales push for stuffing size into your back. Hey man, when you get used to it, it's pretty useful if you got what you want. Like, it's the freakiest thing in Ghost in the Shell, but I've always thought, man, I kind of want those, like, super hands you see as they split open and type at, like, light speed. If I could get those as an augment, I'd get those. Those things look radical. Just turn my fingers into 18 fingers and type at light speed. My API would be through the roof. District 23 is the street of flavor. Everything is permitted in the pursuit of making delicious dishes. Even dismembering humans. Isn't that exciting? A guest walked into a restaurant for a meal, and then the chef fell in love with them. They had the perfect amount of tenderness and girth. The chef pulled out a knife, and the guest ended up on a plate. You become the food you appreciate one day, and others will appreciate what you've become. It's a common story often told in these streets. Well, if you really became the main character of one of those tales, be honored. That means the chef saw you as excellent meat. This is one of the best compliments you could hear in 23. The more you know. Here's Highwing wanting to type real fast when you can have options like turning your hand into a shotgun. Well, I mean, that's cool if I were a fixer. Having a shotgun that could shoot yen so you could take out the Ministry of Wealth is a pretty cool thing to do. But I just feel like fast fingers is just generally useful. Like, you could type real fast, or you can manipulate a bunch of other things, or you could, like, manipulate small things. I want something that's generically useful rather than badass weapon on my arm. District 23 comes up a lot in the story. Oh yeah, because the butchers are kind of the backdrop for a lot of stories in the game. One of them being the warp. Butchering a human is a lot simpler than butchering other animals. Most of them are smaller than us, which means we can subdue them right away even if they try to resist. Oh, I'm not saying you necessarily have to be tall to be a butcher, so don't be discouraged. Anyways, humans can be a bit noisy, but they're very handy to deal with overall since there's little to worry about compared to other meats. Besides, the 8 chefs? For them, human meat is the one and only ingredient that matches their purists' pursuit. Some buzz about how the process of cooking should be part of the flavor. You can't do that with any other meat, so you better watch it. If you dare wander this part of town, your destination may end up being a dining table. The 8 chefs appear in Argalia's mission, doesn't it? It's almost like cannibalism is a major theme of the story. How so? I mainly ask because I see it as like a side theme, but I don't see it as like a big theme. Jack. It's Jack the Ripper. Hang on, I gotta clear my throat. Our usual source of cooking ingredients are syndicates specializing in butchery. The kind of meats they treat and how they process it differs for each syndicate, so you should pick your caterer carefully. Our Meat Pie Bistro used to frequently trade with the musicians of Bremen and the Little Piggies. Bremen? Ah. Ugh, excuse me. The musicians of Bremen provide large quantities of meat, though it wasn't exactly the freshest. Shattered chips of bone were often in the meat, and the mixture of different types would create an odd flavor. Still was a reliable supplier of ingredients all in all. Outside of special occasions, we use them for making experimental dishes or sausages. Oh, speaking of, sausages are made from a mix of several different kinds of meat. You can even find a rat inside at times. Anyways, we rarely sold the dishes made out of their meat other than the sausages. They never treat their meat nicely before handing it to us. The meat from Little Piggies is pricey and comes in small quantities, but the quality is good. We even got the highest grade meat sometimes if we were lucky. Just looking at the meat from Little Piggies fills me with ideas about how to cook, and it makes my mouth water. That's how appealing the meat looks. But the price is rather heavy, so we only use it for important dishes or foods we serve to customers. But both syndicates suddenly said they're no longer selling ingredients for some reason. So now Pierre and I have to pioneer a new supply chain on our own. I don't think this is all too bad, though. I enjoy working with Pierre a lot. Humans consume humans through inhuman means for the sake of humans. Best way I could describe it, really. I guess metaphorical cannibalism, if you want to call it that. But, like, you primarily see cannibalism in the train story and urban myth. Like, I don't think I see it at all in the left plots. Pierre. Most cooks who live here have the same dream, becoming one of the 8 chefs. They're the people who perceive the ultimate delicacy. Their way of cooking will give you a thrill just hearing about it. You don't feel it? You don't feel it? No. I'm sure you can feel it inside. I sound crazy? Nah, listen up, you stubborn square. This is why I can't talk with people whose brains are too old. They taste bad too. There's a limit to the flavors people can draw forth. The height of taste the human tongue can feel isn't as impressive as you might think, really. The most delicious food doesn't come close to sending chills down your spine. At most, it's just good enough to make your eyes spin. And the food you guys casually eat going, tasty, are way below that. So, many chefs gathered around one time, pondering what to do to pursue a taste beyond this limit. And then, inspiration struck all of them at the same time like lightning! It was a thrust like lightning! God, that's a reference, if anything. What if they sublimated the experience into taste? Something beyond what the tongue can feel. You know, they say the presentation of food adds to its taste, right? What if the whole process of cooking could be tasted? They performed several experiments in an attempt to make that dream come true. So? What do you mean, so? I wouldn't be trying so hard if there wasn't an end to this delicacy. All the chefs are continuing their research to this day, seeking more stimulating flavors. And I just want to be as good as the stain on their apron, at least. God, I can't help it, but the more I look at Pierre, she looks more like a surgeon rather than a chef, you know? I don't know if that's like intended design decision or what, but... Oh, there's a lot of fucking story here. Shogeki no Soma, but if they're all what's Shogeki no Soma? A peacekeeping office provides protection for requested territories for a certain period of time. Lulu's is one of those offices. What are they protecting against, you asked? The city, obviously. What I'm saying is, their job is to keep the area safe from all sorts of happenings and incidents that occur in the city. Of course, there won't be much to do if the area is too small or peaceful. But, man, compared to us who have to wait indefinitely for someone to make a request, Lulu's living a good life. At least she does something. And they don't have to worry about starving to death even if they don't get requests. Anime about cooking where characters have orgasm due to food. Ah. You know, I kind of wish we had more of these in the game, because at some point we just stopped having generic fixers and it felt kind of lame. It also kind of... like, ruins the diversity of deck building. Because, let's skip ahead a little bit and take a look at... this. We don't exactly have grade 1 fixers here. We have... well, office workers. We have NPCs. And that's about it. Like, the lowest thing we get is the weirdos being green. But, like, I was hoping that, like, say, somewhere around Urban Nightmare, Urban Legend. Well, I think in Urban Legend we actually, yeah. I was hoping we'd fight more, like, you know, grade fixers rather than that. So I'm hoping once, story plot is done, they go and, like, make horizontal upgrades to each level of stuff. Because, if we remember right, for the longest time, where is she? Sayo dominated the story because she was just that good. If we had stuff to say, make the gaze office or the musicians of Bremen more enticing, it would be a lot more interesting at this point in the game to, like, build decks. But that's just me thinking about, like, you know, deck building shit, because it's kind of what Magic does. Like, in Magic you have the mythics and shit, but you also have the commons that are, like, the building blocks to get to your powerful cards. Grade 1 fixers are good enough, names. That's true. I suppose in a way these are the higher grade fixers. But there's something I like about, like, say, the Nameless Henchman, you know? Where were we at? We were at Lulu 2. Oh, these are just the same page. Okay. And these are also the same page. Man, they kind of are exactly the same page, they just have a different sword. That's funny. As her friend, it's unfortunate that Lulu got stuck. It's unfortunate that Lulu is stuck with grief. I don't have any tears to shed for her, though. I got my share of rough experiences. I'm just not sharing it with others. Well, I did say I'll help her out. But the truth is, my office figured that we could find plenty of valuable loot in the library. That's pretty tempting. The other one is probably thinking the same thing as me. I mean, what dummy would actually head to such a dangerous place motivated purely by a friend's sob story? That's the kind of intimate and deep relationship is long gone from this world, especially in this business. That's why I can't understand Lulu. Sure, let's say that her colleague died there. Even then, she should be valuing her own life, shouldn't she? She could be so stupid at times. Well, I gotta go in with her anyways. I like this because this is them saying, you know that anime bullshit where you fight for your friends? That's fucking dumb. You should fight for yourself. Lulu there, she's an idiot. Laugh at her! Ah, Sans. Sans Undertale, nice to meet you. An associate office is one that is a cooperative relationship with one of the associations. The advantage of this designation is that fixers will not have to worry about starving since they're paid a stable salary. And that the office simply has to handle tasks given by the association with proficiency rather than having to deal with clients and accept their requests as ordinary offices do. Man, that's a long run-on sentence. Spending days without any incidents happening in the area designated for peacekeeping can be admittedly boring, though it's a blessing to have such a peaceful day in the city. I was grateful to have such serenity each day, reasoning with Lulu's occasional complaints. Is boredom the only downside for being an associate office? That's not quite true. Because we're under the direct command of an association, we're forced to take on any undesirable task they give, even if it carries the risk of wiping out the office. I can't blame the association, so I only have myself to fault for failing to save my guys. Blame yourself or God. I wonder if there is a established, like, monotheocratic religion in this game. Because, like, the primary thesis here is that money is everything, but there is faith in a way? But is there theism? Because, like, there is the Church of Gears, that's the obvious one, but that's a faith. There's no one god or pantheon of gods to, like, worship. The Church of Gears is a theocracy based on the idea of, like, communal assistance, where one individual sacrifices themselves for the good of another, in a quite literal sense. Like, say, I don't know, Delita sacrifices himself to become a cog for my brain, so I could actually think of how to play a video game. That's what the Church of Gears preaches. Isn't their God the greater whole? Yes and no. In that way, I see it as faith, not theocracy. In my mind, theocracy is the idea of, like, an object of worship. Granted, the greater whole is an object of worship, but now we're just getting into, like, splitting hairs here. Lulu's, we get hers last, I believe, but... crap. Another day without work. Fantastic! There's gotta be some case for us to take care of, like fly tipping or something. I'm gonna forget how to move at this rate. If I told my friends about this, they're so gonna whine like, well, isn't it a good thing you have a lot of free time, or you're so well off, we're thinking about starving from the lack of requests. Those dummies. Think about it for a moment. You need results to promote to better fixer grades and see some growth in your office, right? And that's going to lead to higher income for us. For now, I'm working with my boss San and some dork shaped like a ball of rice cake. Oh, Mars is not... San is the boss, and Mars is just a very talented fixer. Interesting. But things could be better than this in the future, yeah? It's not like I have problems with my coworkers! I'm talking about stuff like weapons and office interior. You know, those kind of things. You get what I mean? I do bicker with Mars and snap at him often, yes. But that doesn't mean I hate him. San and Mars are both precious colleagues to me. Though, yeah, I know what you're about to say. If fixers develop private feelings for each other, it could be much harder to bear whatever happens down the line. I know what I'm doing is stupid. I have wits, unlike Mr. Rice Cake Face. Man, she really doesn't like Mars. Or really likes Mars. No, she super likes Mars. Like, I remember the plot. But we're humans. It's just something that can't be helped. How can we strictly detach ourselves from one another and focus on our work? I tried acting nonchalant, I did. But I guess I can't do it. San said he feels the same. I gotta envy Mars for being cool-headed all the time. What was I looking at here? There was something here that caught my attention. I gotta remember what that was. Yeah. If fixers develop private feelings for each other, it can be much harder to bear with what happens down the line. Case in point, Roland and his wife. When do we learn about Roland's circumstances? Look at this guy. Look at the anime protagonist right here. One of the few people in this game that has an idle animation. It's really funny. Whether it's gut harvesting, making them into a little cut of meat, turning to gear, the metaphorical cannibalization of corporations grinding up each other's lives into coffee. Ah! So it is a metaphorical cannibalism. Yeah, I see it, Tiger Brows. Whoa, my eyes are fucking leaving me. What the hell's happening? Oh yeah, Zhao is another circumstance of, like, fixers aren't supposed to have relationships. My mother was a fixer with a high grade that every one of my peers would dream of reaching. She was the envy of all, a radiant individual who received endless supplies of various expensive equipment and garnered constant recruit offers from other offices. Does that mean I had a safe, comfortable childhood under the care and wealth of such a wonderful person? Had that been the case, I would have earned a position in one of the wings already. Being the son of a high-ranking fixer, I was often targeted by syndicates opposing her, and my mother's acquaintances held high expectations for me. At first, I was okay with their expectations. I was already dreaming to follow a path of my mother, in fact. In fact, I was hoping to live up to it and hear compliments such as, "I knew you could make it," from others. Yes, I'm going to become a great fixer just like my mother. Then she'll be proud of me one day, right? She'll proudly say, "That's my boy," in front of others. I studied hard day after day, taking no breaks in between. Countless times I held my sword with a strong resolve, and many days I spent weeping alone. Even I faced setbacks and failures. I believed that even if I faced setbacks and failures, I believed I could overcome them and stand strong like the protagonist of a movie. Haha! Oh, I love this. I love this playing into tropes. It's really fun. As if I could actually be someone great. But in the end, I grew into an ordinary, aspiring fixer, and I learned that I was only an average person with no talent to show off. When I entered an ordinary office with my ordinary capabilities, my mother seemed very glad to hear the news. She said an associate office of this way is a good start, and that I'll certainly be able to become successful if I work my way up slowly. However, I was greatly disappointed in myself, and I couldn't look my mother in the eyes until I said my final goodbyes and left the house. Man, Mars! That fucking sucks, dude! Weird, what is up with my eyes right now? Is it because my glasses are dirty? Just get better, Mars! Just have access to time crimes like I do and beat the game. I'm sorry, it's just that, like, I'm trying to view this through my glasses and they're very, like, fuzzy. I'm gonna clean my glasses real quick. This is bugging me. Pro tip for all you wonderful kids watching the stream: when it says that this is an 18+ only stream, naughty kids you are, don't have bad eyes. Get LASIK. Because, like, man, every time I don't have my glasses, I feel like I'm such a fucking wreck. Like, right now, I am on a layout of my screen where every monitor is ever so slightly, like, away from arm's length. I can't see those monitors without my glasses. That's how bad my vision has gotten. And even cleaning them hasn't done it. Do I need a new prescription? He's still an objet d'art, tougher than his boss. I think it's because he had actual training and shit. So, for those that are wondering, Bong Bong is a meme from other circles that play this game, where one person made a Bong Bong, then everybody made a Bong Bong. I'm the only one who hasn't because I'm such a fucking hipster that I avoid that shit. Urban legend. Now we get to talk about the military police! Is there a person or group dedicated to stopping violence or murder in the back streets? Not quite. You're on your own unless you have the money to hire fixers. Protection isn't some volunteer service you could get for free. Fixers risk their lives for it. It'll take our lives worth of money to get motivated to work. We aren't robots. If you're so afraid, why don't you hire fixers or move to a nest? You're free from all outside threats when you live in a nest. Unless the nest falls, of course. The Zui Association is your shield. We protect you, your family, and your home from syndicates of the backstreets or crazed murderers. If you have the wealth to make a direct request to the association, that is. Without due payment, the association will not move. Do you believe our request fee is too expensive, and you would rather request a syndicate? While making a request to a syndicate is an option, we don't recommend it. The reason is obvious. No organization in the city that operates without abiding formal procedures can be trusted. Associate fixers are classified into multiple levels, too. From Section 1, which is the apex, to Section 6, the bottom. There's a world of difference in the salaries and treatments they get. I guess that's because they're much more experienced than us. If I keep trying hard, then maybe I'll be able to join Section 5 someday. It's not an easy feat to get out of Section 6, of course. It takes a huge effort, or perhaps something that can't be accomplished with effort alone. I'm a fresh member here, so there's still a lot for me to learn. Still, I'm gonna pick up experience as I resolve the missions assigned to me, and I'll probably figure out what to do in time. The Zwei tends to be more defensive than other associations or offices. Our main purpose is to not to fight and win, but rather to ensure the safety of our clients. We don't perpetuate unnecessary killings in our duty of protecting people. Thus, if you're looking to make a request for someone's death, we recommend seeking other associations for it. Just gotta do a training montage for your eyes, get some weighted eye patches. It's actually really funny, Teodora, because, brain work. I remember hearing that if you use an eye patch and you don't have, like, a missing eye, it actually fucks with your depth perception super hard. Guardian Zet is either the originator or the popularizer, and I still watch the Russian hard bass orchestra from time to time. Huh, never heard of that. Julia! I still remember the day when the three of us met for the first time. It was when I joined my previous office. I was actually scared back then. It was the first workplace I was assigned just after I became a fixer. I was hesitating in front of the glass door, wondering whether I should go in or wait for someone to open it. But then I heard a sound coming in from inside. Two people arguing with each other. I decided to get close to the door and eavesdrop on them. How tight did the bonds between our fates have to be to lead us here? I mean, both you and I are first-timers. Isn't it reassuring to be with a familiar face? Not at all. Not at all! When is this Julia person coming anyways? Don't tell me she got disappointed by your pathetic impressions and went back already. She's not coming in because she's intimidated by your facial expression. She gave me a glance, turned back to the tall person with an even fiercer gaze than moments ago, then kicked him in the shin and came striding along towards me. The tall person followed, rubbing his shin. As the person with pigtails got closer and closer, I found myself stepping backwards, even though I knew I should be saying hello to her. Soon the chime on the door rang as it opened up, and we stood still for a few seconds like that, not one of us saying a single word. I don't know why, but it was just so funny to me that she was puckering her lips, just as hesitant to speak as I was, so I bursted out laughing. Man! I feel really bad killing Julia now. Isadora. Hang on a second, I gotta take a drink. It's okay, she was weak. Yeah, but I adore that. I adore her. San and Julia are old fixer friends of mine, and San's from the streets of 21, the same place I grew up in. This is a secret I've only told Julia, but San used to be a huge coward. It's probably not surprising to you that he still acts like a coward from time to time. Thinking about the old days makes me laugh, though. He'd always train himself so he doesn't lag behind and end up getting scars on his face. And one time he walked into a dark alleyway, saying exploration shouldn't be a problem for a brave person, even though his face was already full of fear. And then ran back to me in less than a minute. We almost got into some serious danger one time. The two of us were hanging out until after dark, and ran into something nasty in a remote street. It happened when I was a little kid, so my memory of that is blurry. All I can remember is looking at San's back, standing in front of me like holding a tree branch. Wait. All I can remember is looking at San's back, standing in front of me, holding a tree branch he hurriedly picked up. My heart was racing with fright, but looking at his shivering legs made me chuckle a little on the inside. I don't really remember what happened after that, as I said. Why am I bringing this up all of a sudden? I don't know. I was just reminded of the old times seeing San kneel down for the sake of his office juniors. He never changes, huh? I wonder what she saw. I do appreciate Isadora, though, from like a design perspective, because a lot of the card art in her depicts the appropriate way to use his Wayhander. It's really interesting, even though the sprites only show as it like a normal-ass like sword holding pose. Like, if they wanted to give her like a glow-up, she should absolutely hold her Wayhander like shown in her art. That'd be cool. Walter. This bitch boy who was subjugated by the dogs. The Association handles requests often made for fixers such as security, combat, assassination, intel, patenting, and trades. Where there is money, there are associations. The associations follow the demand, not the other way around. Demand equals requests, and requests equal profit. It may seem a bit too materialistic for you, but seeing how the associations work, you have to agree that money is their prime objective. For instance, the associations sort and classify every single notable event in the city. Urban myths, legends, plagues, nightmares, stars of the city. Risk is not what determines their grade. The only question that matters is that how much people are willing to pay to have that threat eliminated. Huh. We really don't see much of Walter in the story, do we? Also, I'm going to refresh my drink before we continue, because I've been doing a lot of talking. Also, man, this here needs to not be on. I do often wonder why the Zwei Association chooses to use Zweihanders, even though they advertise themselves as your shield. It's a little perplexing to me, because I don't know if the Zweihander is considered a defensive weapon. If it is, it would make way more sense. Stray dogs. Oh, the stray dogs were a syndicate. I thought they were just a random gang. He was an ambitious guy that wanted to get out of Section 6, made some deals with some syndicates, and died because he took the obvious bait, even though even he realized it was bait. I don't think we've actually seen anyone using a shield. Yeah, shields seem kind of passe in this world. I don't know if it's considered defensive, but you could use them defensively. Brain work. Were they the horse-cutting weapons, or was there another weapon that was considered the horse cutter? Sure, it's defensive. 2 meters long. Good luck getting in close to stab with that much poking distance. I suppose that's true. kind of ironic that the long weapons are considered the defensive weapons, while a knife is a murderer's weapon. It's true that our syndicate's sorta intimidating and got a tight hierarchy going on, but the bond between members is strong. We're actually leagues nicer than those office fucks who exploit and abandon each other with every breath. Those crooked bastards will do anything for profit. I'm sometimes in awe of the shit they pull. I actually used to be a rat. Yeah, those filthy and wretched rats everyone looks down upon. It's amazing that I'm now standing shoulder to shoulder with the dogs, ain't it? I busted my ass crawling up the ladder. I did everything in my power. Got a small tattoo with what little cash I had, and rummaged through trash to find worn but still usable accessories. It was a damn tough climb, but now that I'm up here, I'm starting to feel like I might have been better off just to live as a rat. Here, a strict barking order is set up between members. It's nothing like the rats who move in close packs. Sometimes, I do miss my old family. Wow. See you later, Fenfolt. Madden was murdered by a drive-by piking. I like that. Just a chariot swinging on by while people with pikes just poke at you 20 feet away. Even if you make your way up to the big leads and become a decently influential syndicate, there's still loads of stronger gangs above you. They peck at you all the same. No matter how far Syndicate climbs and tries, you just can't surpass the 5 fingers at the top. Syndicates ain't too different from fixers in that you have to repeat the same stupid shit following orders from above. So in my opinion, holding onto your place seems wiser than trying to climb up out of ambition or greed. Unless you're at rock bottom, of course. Someone's gotta be below us to serve as punching bags, ain't it right? Wow, that's fucked up, Zulu. Tattoos are the cleanest type of augment procedure you could get. I only got it cause young me pushed me to give it a shot. I'm pretty satisfied with the results. It doesn't cost an awful lot, and it looks pretty damn nice too. Weak-ass wimps run away at the sight of my tattoo. But you see, coolness isn't the only noticeable feature of these tattoos. There's a ton of tattoo types depending on the quality of ink and the material used. But generally speaking, you can have results like bursts of strength or skin as hard as steel. It used to be a singularity, but ever since the wing owning the tech got snapped and its patent expired, everyone and their mother's been using it. Don't get tattoos that are too cheap though. You might wake up to find melted flesh. You get exactly what you pay for in the city. Bastards are only honest when money's involved. Has a lot of ceremonial and representative use, so it's more like a front as a display of power. Oh, this Wayhander? Yeah, I could see that. Young me. Some fool laughs at these accessories I'm wearing. They think I'm a glossy punk trying to look cool, figged out with random ornaments without a second thought. What they don't know is that these ain't just for fashion. They're good for making arrogant idiots let their guard down. But before that, they're workshop products with real, practical uses. You heard about how people use belt to choke others, didn't you? These accessories are similar to that. They're useful for beating someone to death, though I gotta take the risk that comes with using them. Expensive gadgets crafted by premium workshops have almost zero side effects. On the other hand, this ring, for example, lets me deliver a hard blow with my punches, but it chafes the skin on my hand at the same time. This one's on me for using it for too long, and I hear quality products usually get regular repairs and maintenance to prevent that. The side effects of my gear is pretty minor and negligible, but in worst cases, get some poor sod whose neck got snapped by the necklace they were wearing. I'm wondering how a necklace snaps your neck. Well, the obvious way of it, like getting hooked on something and just like... I like this though. It shows that young me just ain't like some kind of like meathead. He actually knows what he's doing. Ah man, it's time for one of my favorites. Young me's good at something. Dying. Look, You can't fault them for dying. The library is a weird place. What else is there? So there's a moratorium on guns, but what about bows and crossbows? I think bows and crossbows are phased out because it's just old tech. And if you can have a tattoo that turns your skin to steel, what the fuck's a bow gonna do? Well, an arrow, but yeah. What about bombs and grenades? Are there high explosives in this game, in this world? Huh. I don't think there is. I bet they're not used because you would have to account for collateral damage. Library is a weird place. You don't say, staring at Carmen. Thumb had grenades. Did they? One of the best weapons in Warframe is a bow. That's Warframe, though. Those are like weird bio-alien ninjas, so of course bows would work on them. We don't know how obsolete bow and arrows are in this world. Every useful workshop technology is patented. The city strictly forbade making or selling products using technology patented by another workshop without purchasing the rights to it. If anyone infringes this regulation and still uses the technology they shouldn't have access to, they will receive a cease and desist letter up to 3 times. When you receive the warning, you must pay all profit you earn through the infringement to A Corp as a fine. Why A Corp out of all places? Because that's the corporate in charge of managing and granting all patents. It's the head we're talking about. In any case, if you can't pay the penalty by the 3rd warning, the claw will tear you down. To tell you the truth, yes, I'm the daughter of a small workshop owner. My father dreamed to make his little brand famous one day. Its name was... Sorry, I don't feel like saying it aloud. It's long gone, so you'll get nothing even if you look for it. That's right, as I explained moments ago, if you can't spit the money you illegitimately earn from manufacturing or selling products with stolen technology, punishment awaits. Wait, please listen to my story to the end. My father was a victim of fraud. His friends gave him a technology and asked him to make weapons for his office out of it, so he made them per his request. He didn't even realize that the technology was stolen from someone else. He'd already sent the weapons to the office, and was waiting for his friend to test them out and transfer the payment. A C&D was sent. You can guess the rest of his story. Man, Mika's life kinda sucks! When an office accepts a request, an official deed of contract must be drawn up before the case can be dealt with. It sounds big, but it's basically just a mutual promise. I think it's consideration in legal terms. The client will pay a certain amount of money as a reward, and the fixers will do their best to resolve the case. They're plain and natural causes for the most part. Oh my god, these glasses are fucking weird now. Damn, I think I need a new prescription. Oh no. Man, I don't want another new prescription. I like these glasses. Where did I leave off on? It seems people in the city are prone to breaking promises as simple as those without a contract to bind them, though. In any case, contracts serve as physical evidence to prove our performance and secure our payment when we submit reports to the association. Without a contract, there's no assurance that we'll score a record for our career or get our due payment. To give you an example, Big Sis resolved a huge case the other day, but we got absolutely nothing out of it because she forgot to sign a contract for it. Requests made by wings are quite different from those assigned by the association in several aspects. You'll be made the envy of everyone once you get a request from a wing. First of all, a wing commissioning a regular office indicates that the office has been recognized to be worthy of its trust, and that alone can be a significant achievement. You'll have something to brag about to other fixers, and the payment is big as well. A single request from a wing resolved can keep us afloat for 3 months minimum. If I must be honest, however, I'm rather unnerved. As rewarding as work given by wings can be, there's significant risk associated with it. Imagine how dangerous and difficult this mission may be if our corp, a wing specializing in combat, requested us to resolve it for them. Big Sis happily accepted the job, though I still can't help but be worried a little. Still, I hope it goes well. There was something here that I wanted to bring up. I think it was either in Mika's or here. What was it that I was looking at here that made me go, I should discuss that? Weird, I had something and it's just gone. Bye. Goodbye. Man, all this Warframe talk is making me kind of miss the game, but I can't go back to it. Fucking Draco Farms with Mesa broke me. Mio and I are old friends. I honestly don't remember how our first meeting went other than being backstreet buddies. But that just goes to show how long our friendship's been, don't it? We've done requests together, been in life or death situations together. We've been too busy to contact each other often ever since I moved to this office. But then Mio called me out for a date one day. Maybe it was because I got to drink with my old friend after a long while. Or maybe it was the honor of having a seat with the famous captain of the rabbit team. But I was in a mighty good mood. I was taking swig after swig of booze. Rain would have scolded me for sure if I went back drunk as a broom. I felt that. But that happens all the time anyway, so I didn't care much. How's it going? So-so about you? Same as you, lass. After some meaningless chatter, Mio gasped like she remembered something and started skimming through her fanny pack. Then she shot me a stealthy look. Hey Olga, come closer. We don't want anyone peeping at us, so stick right next to me and stay quiet. You're the noisiest one here and you already stick out like a sore thumb, so just say it already. You're not a woman of style, are you? It's more fun to talk like we're secret agents exchanging confidential info when we're discussing topics like this. It's stylish this way. Forget it. ArcCorp has been investigating something of late. It's... Are you giving work to our office? Or are you just bragging? By the way, I guess it's pretty serious if ArcCorp is paying attention to whatever it is. Just how big is it? Oh, I heard people have been going missing lately. Does this have anything to do with that? Or... Shut up and listen for a second. You always have too much to say. Here's the deal, I got a lush grassland to show you, so graze it to your heart's content and bring me some of its veggies. How does that sound? Some words she chose. I collected my tongue and took a close look at the black card and warp train tickets Mio pushed to my side before drinking off my glass and agreeing to give it a go. I wouldn't have taken it if I known it'd bring us to this complete lunacy. A-Corp being the head. Renan, in this mythology, there is a head association, the fingers, and then there's the head association, then the fingers. We've heard of the thumb, we've seen the index. No, we've seen the thumb, we've seen the index. We've heard of the middle. I don't think we've heard of ring and pinky yet. The fingers are the most powerful syndicates. Do they not answer to the head? Or am I mistaken here? Oh, this is funny. We get to see the Axe Gang. This outfit's so fucking funny to me. I think you're mistaking the claws and eyes of the head. Probably. Our syndicate's well acquainted with the guys at the hook office. We used to chop and rip together before they moved on to the fixer business. We were the best buddies. The two syndicates had a wonderful time with each other. We still do help them out sometimes nowadays. Huh? You thought fixers and syndicates were enemies for life? Well, you could say it's a long-standing love-hate relationship. Usually a syndicate causes a scene and fixers come over to take care of it. But think about it for a sec. If syndicates didn't exist, more than half of the offices would be out of jobs, essentially unemployed, you get it? It's a symbiotic relationship right there, so don't be so cold to us. And some fixers often cooperate with syndicates to handle cases. You know, it's not like dogs and cats constantly fighting. It's not like dogs and... Whoa, man, my throat's like fucking malfunctioning right now. This is some very Paradise Killer music. I've seen that game, I think, but I've never actually played it. You know, it's not like dogs and cats constantly fight each other when they're together, yeah? That's the same sort of logic. We syndicates do the things fixtures can't dare take care of. I heard some offices straight up ban killing people even. Something about life being precious and whatever, it's bullshit. Anyway, that's how syndicates and fixers complement each other. There's some crooks you'd want dead for sure, but they could complement things, you see? They could complicate things, you see? Man, talking about it makes me miss my old friends. Don't get to meet those pals often these days. I might as well storm Hook office this time around. See some familiar faces. Paradise Killer is the one where Lady Love died, investigated a murder in, like, the realm of gods, right? Answer that question while I change some clothes. I'm feeling kind of like... I feel like I'm cooking in these pajama pants. The season's so insanely awkward for me. It gets cold enough to where you want to like bundle up and warm up, but my body produces like a lot of body heat. So if I bundle up too much, I start sweating in my own clothes, and I'm just like, I want to die. So here I am wearing a t-shirt and pants in winter. Yeah, pretty much first person Knives Out. Yeah, that's what I thought. The aesthetic looks cool, but it's not really my game. That was Axe Gang 1, Axe Gang 2. If you think syndicates are nothing more than gangs of ugly and bad guys, then let me tell you that's an outdated bias. Of course, we're freer than fixers who have to follow orders and requests from associations. A lot of us kill people and do some wicked shit for the sake of cash, I'll give you that. But others aren't too different from your average fixers, I'm telling ya. We get requests and solve problems. Though our group's moral compass is tilted a bit to the dark side, so I can't give you a good example myself. Right! Some syndicates actually do heroic stuff. Syndicates hunting syndicates. I asked them, hell man, why aren't you guys just becoming fixers instead? And they said they really don't feel like it since they don't really want to get entangled in formal stuff, and there's just too much to prepare to get a license and everything. Well, who's to say syndicates can't be the good guys, right? We're living as we like here in the back streets. Does he shave with his axes? Model viewer is weird in that, some models are just bald while others have like a default haircut. Like this guy is bald for some reason, while these guys have hair. Also, these guys look like fucking Nero from Devil May Cry. Ugh. Really? Does being a fixer sound cool to you? I suppose it seems nicer than the likes of rats swarming around in the back streets. It does have a professional charm to it, too. But this is a tough job, I tell ya. It might be better for you to try and enter a small company to do desk work instead. If you really believe that fixers are cool, then let me tell you something. Fixers have to risk their lives at every moment. I know, it sounds silly. Everybody already struggles and fights for their life, so what's so special about us? But, at least, you won't have to hear of your friend's death while you're having lunch. You pack your favorite foods, savor its taste, and when you're about to swallow it, know how it feels to choke on it? Your friend's head suddenly rolls over to your feet. Things just happen like that. Syndicate grunts rush into your office all of a sudden, heads are blown off, and a gruesome fight breaks out. It's the so-called office raid. Are you still not convinced? Syndicate or Fixer, once you set foot in this business, all the things will bind you like shackles, slowly dragging you to the bottom. The sheer weight is going to tire you, and you'll no longer be willing to get back up. Go back and think again carefully. It's not too late for you to make the right choice. This sounds like Roland is saying this, you know? Because a lot of the metaphors here are the same shit Roland had to deal with. For one, to start working as a fixer, they must acquire a license issued by the Hana Association, the first association in the Order. The set of skills required to get a fixer's license is quite different from those needed to pass wing entrance exams. One is about physical fitness, while the other is more about mental prowess, so to speak. There are exceptions, of course, but this is generally the case. After acquiring the license, the fixer must join an office. After all, it's nigh impossible for a no-name fixer to take on jobs of their own. Choosing the right office is also important, but you can worry about that later. Once the skilled ones can afford to make choices, like decline offers from offices, or ask to be transferred to another. Newcomers who only just become fixers or incompetent planks who can't handle their work properly should be content with any office that accepts them. Wow, rude. Also, these weapons look super, like... It looks like this guy is wielding his weapons entirely wrong. Also, I gotta say, I like the office culture. I like hearing about the office raid culture, because you never hear about that in the main plot. That is something that you only find reading this asinine stuff. I say asinine, but we're having a blast reading it, aren't we? I shouldn't say asinine, I should say ancillary. That's a better term. Oh boy. That's a lot of reading. The Carnival. Did we ever figure out what the Carnival is? Sorry, my sinuses are like a bit fucked, so I have to like effectively like steel myself to talk sometimes. There are many important things to consider as a fixer, and attire is one of them. A fixer's attire is the most effective way to signify the image of an office. It's important for an office to show that it has formality and class. Most offices have a set dress code for that reason. As much as it's a necessity to choose the right attire according to the code, the most important factor is the fabric that the clothing is made of. Quality fabric can offer better protection, lighten the wearer's weight for quicker movement, or allow the wearer to carry heavy weapons as large as their body. Those who create and provide such fabric are called tailors. Oh right, they're tailors! The character artwork and posing looks heavily inspired by Gaia Online. Ha, yeah, huh. We are tailors who consume people and make silk out of them. Whether it's melting people inside our bellies and congealing them into a mold, or it's the unraveling humans into the thread that they're really made of. The fundamentals do not matter. This technology does not originally belong to us. We merely took hold of a technology that came off a patent when a wing was broken. The only thing that matters is that silk made from humans has strength that differentiates it from a normal thread. Only those who crave it visit us. Ooh, man. Cloth weaved from human silk possesses various powers depending on the human's strengths. Some humans may have a strong body, others may be fragile but wise, and yet another may flaunt incredible speed. Since the silk reflects the characteristic of the human it was made from, there are many forms and powers of cloth as there are humans in the world. Therefore, there's more to being a tailor than simply weaving silk carefully. Picking the right people to meet the demands of the client is the most important. Hastily making silk out of human that looks courageous on the outside might end up yielding useless cloth that does nothing but bolster courage, so one must be careful with picking the right material. Not every piece of fabric is accessible, however. It takes more than cash to purchase high-class fabric. One must earn the favor of the tailors first and foremost. Many tailors will only give their best fabric once the trust between them and their clients has been established after a complex turn of events. Because of that, tailors who make high-quality fabric usually belong to an organization and create cloth exclusively for them. But we were different. Until the Index gave us a prescript, we did our work without taking orders from anyone, unchained to any syndicate or organization. We were free, as some may call it. L8372 number 928. Eat 15 sweepers and extract silk from them to make fabric. Isn't that the plot to Kill la Kill? No. In Kill la Kill, people were not the fabric, I think. I think the fabric itself was an alien life form controlling humans. I think that's what Kill la Kill was. But yeah, this is a very interesting story because I gotta bring up something that Cool Guy mentioned in the very first stream of the game. In that, if we take a look at Roland, according to Cool Guy, Roland's suit was perfectly fitted, which means a lot of money and effort was put into Roland's outfit. That very fact alone betrayed the kind of person Roland was. In kind of a way, Cool Guy was the first person to kind of spoil how important Roland was in the backstory. That also being said, this story also ties into what Tiger said, in that these suits are a form of cannibalism. If you wear the suit, you are a cannibal because you are consuming a product made from human. Wait, by the way, where are you in progress? We have completed everything so far. Like, we have done everything up to R-Corp 2 and all abnormalities, and we did Gabura Suppression. It's why I'm LPing this game live on Twitch. I'm a big fancy LPer. Me! There is no ethical consumption under capitalism. Yeah, we learned that this year, certainly. You could get fitted for a relatively modest $100. Yeah, but a fitted suit in this world carries a lot more weight than having a Walmart suit like in Yuppie Psycho. Yuppie Psycho was really funny because I like making comparisons between Baroque Decay and Project Moon's work. They're very strikingly similar in assorted ways, and it's amusing to me. Like, I remember playing Yuppie Psycho and thinking, like, man, this is just an office in Lobotomy Corporation, isn't it? Oh, we got a lot here. Few fixers use guns for self-defense. Bullets cost an arm and a leg, and foes who are relatively powerful tend to dodge shots like it's nothing, and I could barely graze them. There's not a lot of ways to react to enemies closing in either. You have to be quick on the draw and shoot them in the weak spots. If you aren't, the other options are running away or grabbing some prop to guard yourself. Like hell, that'll save you. It takes several augmentation procedures to be able to carry something as heavy as a firearm and run fast enough. If you're a sniper, you'll be busy packing up your weapons, mount, and everything, having to make unnecessary big movements. And what if the precious gun gets damaged if you try to block your foe's attacks with it? Oh, I wasn't talking about the kind of guns Tamaki and me use, not firearms in general. You see what Leiwei's carrying? I heard there are lighter rifles, and some that come with bayonets for close quarters combats. But mind you, those guns have their fair share of downsides, so don't be too quick to buy them. You might as well save the money and get a quality workshop weapon or an augmentation surgery instead. Ugh, excuse me. Hell, you could probably buy a fine weapon with the money it takes to buy bullets for target practice. You weren't planning on using guns in actual fights without even practicing, were you? I mean, go ahead, if you really want dislocated shoulders and severed fingers. Despite all this, there are still workshops that manufacture guns and people like us who use them. Guns are just that comfortable to use. Those heavy taxes won't be a problem as long as you use your gun Those heavy taxes won't be a problem as long as you use that gun for its intended purpose. How many defenseless thugs standing in the way of the middle of the street can notice a bullet flying towards them? Of course, it'd be better to get specially made workshop devices that use a special technology to muffle the sound of gunfire, but don't expect too much. There's currently no technology in our world that can completely cancel out noise, and it won't exist in the foreseeable future. You don't need that to make guns work, though. All it takes is an advantageous situation. Okay guys, work with me here. Guns that fire human bones as bullets. The problem in this world is not the fact that bullets are hard to make. It's that, I believe either A-Corp or the Hana Association levies heavy taxes on ammunition specifically because they don't want death to be so free in their city. Granted, people die easily either way, but they don't want it to be a situation of like Wild West, bang bang, you're dead. God, there's another mythos that did something very similar, but I'm drawing a blank on it. There's precedence for that logic, though. Ah, man. God, I can't even like look at the screen without my glasses. I wanted to like take a break from wearing them with headphones, but I can't. Tamaki. There aren't many workshops that can craft guns. Setting aside the low demand, the difficulty of acquiring a firearms manufacturing license, and the head strict guidelines are the biggest limitations. The guidelines include clauses such as the maximum length of a gun barrel must be shorter the higher the gun's caliber is. What? The maximum length of the gun barrel must be shorter the higher the gun's caliber is. So, I don't know what guns are like, but what does that mean? Like, what does a gun's caliber have to do with, like, gun length? No gun should possess the firepower to penetrate steel or building walls. A gunshot must be audible. And I haven't even started with the bad ones yet. The first page of the guideline boldly states, "Do not research or imagine technology that infringes the firearms manufacturing guidelines as provided by the head along with this license." I'm not a gunsmith myself, so I don't know the details, and I frankly don't want to know any more than that. There are certainly workshops permitted to make S-Class firearms, but I'm guessing only 3 to 5 of them exist in the entire city. Who do they take requests from? Where they are, and what kind of people run them? That's all a mystery. The most I could hear was a rumor that a S-Class workshop exists somewhere. The less barrel, the more inaccurate. Caliber means the size of a bullet. Oh, so their regulation is basically saying if you're making a high caliber round, you're effectively making a... what the fuck do you call it? An Obrez? The sawed-off sniper rifle. So they want to make guns as ham-handed as... That's really weird. So if you're going to make a long barrel sniper rifle, it's going to be a small caliber bullet. And the interesting note in this paragraph, bullets cannot penetrate concrete or steel. They're trying really hard to lower collateral damage. That might be why we don't see a lot of explosives in this game. People say the head put heavy restrictions on firearms because they don't want its denizens to be harmed too easily. It's true that a gun can effortlessly kill a person with one well-placed shot. That's not all. The assailant doesn't have to show themselves to attack, and a flying bullet is simply too fast for the average person to track with their eyes, making it a fine weapon for stealthily killing others. But making it harder to kill people doesn't seem good enough a reason to impose such restrictions. What about the countless other trifling and useless methods that exist to kill people? I cannot understand that they would see this as I just cannot understand that they would see this as a solely philosophical issue. Are you asking if it's because that the wings don't have sufficient technical expertise? I'm not here for senseless chatter. The wings can easily make superior weapons with their technology. There's no real reason they can't improve upon current design. There are probably some people who feel the same way as me. They don't question it further or try to dig deeper into the truth because... well, they have their hands full with making their ends meet. They don't want to risk losing it all and meddling in business secrets, I suppose. A barrel's length determines the amount of rifling and thus spin. More spin, more accurate. If they don't want them to penetrate concrete, they really have to mess with the powder and the bullet. They don't want destruction and high body counts. They're trying to keep up a huge status quo. Yeah. It definitely feels like in this world there's an emphasis on reducing collateral damage. Which is paradoxical because if you're having short barrel guns, the bullet's going to be wildly inaccurate, causing collateral damage. A color is the dream and lifetime goal of all fixers who wish for freedom. Those who have been assigned a color are called the colors. A color is the pride of a fixer and the association. They put forward the colors as great and successful people that other fixers will look up to. They dream of earning wealth and fame, and to be free like them one day. Colors are assigned by the Hana Association. They're bundled into such a category because the Hana deem them to be the most ideal fixers. Because they're the most adequate individuals to deal with stars of the city. The title of a color is forcibly given to fixers who qualify, essentially. Can a fixer be truly happy with freedom that was forcefully handed to them? Why colors of all terms when there are many other stylish words to choose from? I have no comment to make since I don't know the reason myself. My assumption is that colors are used because giving people hues, representatives of them, makes them easier to refer to and remember them by. It may not be the answer you were expecting, but it can't be helped. The colors have their own ways of working, and they have basically nothing in common. It's akin to how visible colors have their own vibrant characteristics. In that sense, the term color isn't entirely off-putting. I'm gonna go now buy it. See you later, Renan. Thanks for stopping by. This is giving me some big Ghost Runner vibes, controlling everything a human does and is so it survives from the apocalypse just outside their walls. Yeah, huh? Also, the color system is super interesting because, as we mentioned before, being a color means you were, like, the top fixer. But there's still this weird dichotomy among fixers, even among the colors. Like, no, looking at the colors we know now, Gabura the Red Mist was the most idealized color. Conversely, Argalia, the Blue Reverberation, seems to be the most vilified of them, since nobody seems to like actually interacting with Argalia. And in a way, Argalia is very mercurial and kinda antagonistic to people he interacts with. So there's like this big obvious like opposition, like red versus blue, opposing colors, color theory, blah blah blah! Then you have Roland, who was the Black Silence. Black being a very, oftentimes vilified and despised color. You can tell that Roland only got his color because he was like he was remarkable at something so vile and detested that the Hana needed to associate him with something so they knew what he could be used for. Argalia was probably a lot better before he went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. How long ago was that? Because Argalia went bonkers the moment the pianist appeared. Because that killed his sister, Angelica. The pianist appeared during the Bright Nights and Dark Days. That happened as a result of Lobotomy Corporation. So I'm wondering what's the time frame between then. Because, like, people can hate him now because he has been operating for, like, 10, 20 years as a complete psychopath. Like, he may have been a no-name fixer before, but once he became Argalia, that may have been when he got the association, the Blue Reverberation. Because remember, the pianist resonated with him, and reverberation is a sort of resonance. So he may have gotten that color posthumously after the events of the pianist. But this is all theoretical speculation. We actually don't know a lot about Argalia. Oh, right! The Philip plot. Audio transcript of testimony from District 22, Resident 1. I think it was last Monday. Derry said something strange to me. They told me they made a contract with someone and they're scared they might break it. They said they don't know what horrifying penalty they'll have to face upon breaking the contract. I tried to calm them down, saying they should be fine so long as they don't actually breach the contract. But Derry got ticked off and complained that it's unfair how they're supposed to comply with unfavorable terms hidden in the fine print. Then they broke into tears, saying they're doomed anyways. They apparently agreed to do 3 tasks in exchange for gaining power. Tomorrow's promise. Do I really have to recall that messed up memory? Alright. If it's necessary to prevent another incident from happening, I suppose there's no choice. You could record it, sure. I don't remember everything that happened, actually. That day was just like any other, except Derry showed up in the streets after going missing for a few days, looking awfully gaunt. Other than that, the weather was normal and the streets were the same as always. I know that's when the incident started. Derry was walking the streets as they mumbled something, but they didn't seem to be heading in a specific destination. It's like they were staring off into space and forcibly dragging their feet along. They said strange things like something keeps coming or boiling. They were always a bit of a weirdo, so that didn't bother me too much. But then Derry's body began swelling up. All I could think at that moment was how funny he looked, expanding like a balloon. The scene was that unrealistic. Maybe it was the shock of confronting an unbelievable situation paralyzing the human brain, or the brain beginning to believe that it was only a dream and marveling at the scene. But I was just standing still, staring at what's going on. Am I really in reality? But before I could gather myself up, the incident happened. Derry's body blew up with weird needles. Derry's body blew up and weird needles went. Wow, that's a weird line. Derry's body blew up and weird needles went. I feel like that's a translation error because it sounds like it's supposed to say weird needles went everywhere. Miss Madrid, who was standing in front of me, was struck with one of the needles, and her body swelled up and exploded into a shadow of needles just like Derry did. I luckily managed to get away without being hit by any of the needles. I ran to this office without turning back once, and now I don't think I could go back there. I wonder if anyone else lived. If my friend Mijin's alright. If my house is fine. I'm curious, but I just can't go back. I can't do it. What do I do? I don't want to go back to... The interviewer's breathing becomes coarse and unstable afterwards. The recording was suspended as it was deemed that the interviewer could no longer proceed. Here's an interesting question. Whose viewpoint is this? Is Yuna the interviewee or the interviewed? A shame Watson's not here. I mean, if you want to get it to Watson, you could just clip the stream and send it to him. It's not really anything of import. The only people who would notice such glitches and be perplexed by them are people like me who go deep into the game's provided files and then recite them aloud. Pages are memories, right? Yes. I really do adore Yuna's design a lot. Like, I dig the professional look, but I also dig her weapon being like a banjo case. I think that's just so fucking slick. If you say so, Philip. Damn, I'm busted. I guess I'm just a big crybaby lava baby. Case name, 1,000 Needles. Grade, Urban Legend. This document is the compilation of relevant information of the case of the 1,000 Needles, which occurred in the back streets of District 22. While a clear conclusion on the case has yet to be made, it is speculated to be a case of the distortion based on the apparent inability to confirm the cause or analyze the composition. Case report. Entity A1, the first apparent source of the incident, was wandering the back streets of 22 before swelling up and exploding. Numerous needles were dispersed upon the explosion, flying in all directions. The needles which stuck onto building walls caused the site of impact to melt and crack. When a human was struck with one of the needles, they were transformed into AO2, going through the same bizarre process of detonation AO1 did. The orange symbol on the nape of A1's neck was also found on the needles discharged from its body. When I arrived on the scene after taking the request, the bits of flesh scattered around the scene began to merge into one giant body using a brainstem-focused resonator, becoming a 3-meter-tall mass that I will refer to as A3. A3 began throwing large needles, the length of which varied from 1 to 3 meters. Unlike the small needles fired from the explosion of A1 or A2 that could only leave small dents in building structures, the giant needles flung by 3 caused buildings to helplessly melt. In addition, local residents who stared into the entity's eyes or holes in its body soon produced a boiling sound before turning into A2, so I had to forbid people from observing it closely. Yo, this is really fascinating. Like, I bet this is gonna be something you fight in the dungeon crawler game they're planning. And yeah, this is absolutely an SCP document. A1 visit U office to give a request 4 days prior to the incident. Judging by what they said, such as made a deal with the devil, and terrible things will happen if I break the contract, it is speculated that yesterday's promise is behind the incident. recording. I'm fine. Can I just talk like this? Oh, okay, got it. When was it? A person visited our office last Wednesday, if my memory serves me right. They introduced themselves as an ordinary resident of the back street of 22. They said they urgently needed help. There were huge bags under their eyes and their hair was a tangled mess. Their eyes were lifeless and blurry, and there was some sort of symbol on their neck, as if they had been attacked by a Stigma Workshop product. Their desperation was palpable. They couldn't even walk straight, and they were straining to approach me with their awkward steps. I managed to calm them down, and they said, "I'm sorry, I'm not sure how I could explain it." In short, they made a contract with a devilish person of some kind, and they're scared they might break the contract, so they are now asking us to take care of the devil so it can't kill them as punishment. I still don't get what that was about, even though I'm talking about it. To be frank, I just couldn't understand what they were saying. Not because their level of knowledge and manner of speech was lamentably inferior, no. All they uttered was a series of simple words. But the splendid images delivered in those hysteric words they let out like they were possessed or something, I can't dare try and describe them. They kept saying confusing things like, "We'll skewer people's heads and make a necklace out of them to offer to it." They keep getting closer, they're multiplying in numbers, they're approaching from inside me. All with a mysterious bright glint in their eyes. Oh, our office records counseling with our clients... Wait, what? Oh, I see. Oh, our office records counseling with our clients by principle. You'll see how confusing the whole situation is if you give the file a listen. Don't worry, we record them with the client's consent and everything, so there's nothing illegal about this. But what can I do, really? The whole deal with the devil thing just sounds too unrealistic. I honestly thought they were lying, so I made up an excuse to turn them away. Man! What is the sequence of events to where we are led to see Tomorrow's Promise? I think the earliest incident is the circus, right? Because we see Yesterday's Promise as early as him taunting Philip. Or Yesterday's Promise. Shut up, Festivore. But, like, this is a really early, like, foreshadowing. Like, you don't see this for at least 5 missions. Gay's office. Bono. People are hung up on money, but it's not just because they want to be well off. The formidable tax burden is a big part of why. No matter how humble your job is, you're still obliged to pay your duties if you earn money. It goes for every type of business transaction. Even syndicates are no exception. Anyone living in the city has to pay taxes. If you don't meet the deadline, you'll get a warning. For the first 3 offenses, you'll get a notice of warning and no other penalty. But if you don't pay your taxes for the 4th time, you're dead meat. They'll come for you. The Eye will seek out tax evaders by any means, and the person it sends will rip those poor cheats to shreds. We saw this in a previous page as well, but it is interesting that you have a 3-strike system with the head and the eye. Where's my brain going with this? What I wonder is each instance a separate count? Or, like, you miss a tax once for 1 month, you miss a tax for a 2nd month, but then you pay, you miss a tax for a 3rd month and you pay. If you miss it the 4th time, you're fucking dead either way. I'm wondering how that works. Oh yeah, it's for the first 3 offenses. So basically, you don't get late fees, you just get fucking ripped to shreds. The nest is a home where birds brood their eggs. They use their wings to devotedly protect their eggs from outside threats. Such is the role of nests and wings that constitutes the city. Do the eggs represent people inhabiting the nest then? Not a chance. These eggs are the treasures the wings possess. Singularities. Technologies that make money, features in countless patents. Its residents are nothing more than feathers of the wings that serve to protect the eggs. A wing will end up falling when it loses too many of its feathers, but it won't bother to desperately protect all of its feathers, since a feather or two will naturally grow back. They're basically expendables. The 26 wings have their own subset of cultures. It might be the personal preference of the wing's founder or the influence of the singularity, but the cultural styles and social atmospheres vastly vary between the nests. The wing's policies also determine the culture of the backstreets that belong to it. Each wing has distinct sets of conducts. Some wings take a relatively cooperative approach to their backstreets, while others thoroughly exploit them. But wings will be wings. Cooperation is just a fancy expression for taking advantage of the backstreets when the wing needs them. If you can't afford to enter a wing and have to live in the backstreets, you're better off settling in the district that suits you well. You still need a home and source of income, of course. Man, something's up on my toe. Like, I would... Weird. I think I gotta snip at that toenail. I still think Bono's or Dalek's design is like the best design in this game. It's just so fucking cute. Also, here's a fun foreshadow. Kane Office is a notary public office that officially administers various matters when a contract is made between two offices. A notary public office preserves evidence involved in a contractual process and certifies legal issues. Sometimes the office may play the role of a broker. Hangnail, that's the weird thing, I cut it yesterday, so I might not have cut it well. When you work with Kane Office, the process you'll have to follow will usually be simple outside of a few special cases. All you need to do is make a summary of all the details for the deal you're making and visit the office. And don't forget to take all the relevant documents with you. Notarial deed of promissory note, migration permit for the nest or backstreets of District Ooh, deed of forward contract, and everything else related to the deal. If you safely finish your business with Kane Office, those documents will become powerful pieces of evidence that will protect you if a case dispute breaks out for whatever reason. So the weird thing about these stories is that you don't really know much about who the Gaze Office is. You just know that they work for the Kane Office and that's it. That being said, I kind of like Bono's design a lot. He reminds me a lot of the head developer of Armored Core. Because back during the advertising campaign of Armored Core 5, the head developer would walk around with a helmet almost exactly like this and a nice three-piece suit. It was really funny. If you can find images of it, I'd recommend it. It's pretty great. We'll finish the Kumakuro clan and then call it a night. You hear that news? We're about to collide with the Kingfishers again. Kingfishers? Don't remember that name at all. Are they a real thing? You know, the syndicate that's been struggling with finance and feuds between members recently. They seem to be getting back on their feet after raiding the Constellars, but it looks like that didn't last long. They were irrelevant chumps, so I completely forgot about them. The Knots seem to be after them. Maybe they'll finally hit them. Weaklings will get hounded. And now they're trying to invade in our territory, desperate to loot anything. It doesn't matter. Their names wouldn't be so unmemorable if they were any strong. Taking them down shouldn't be a problem. And the fixers at Clam Office that were cooperating with them from the back are gone too. Clam? What are they about? I I like that bit of dialogue. It's a nice little window into, like, goon talk. Oh, this is such a great line, too. It's like, Clam? Who the fuck? A fallen nest no longer has an owner to protect its inhabitants. What happens to them, then? In the wreckage of the nest that's gradually turned into an environment similar to the backstreets, all they can do is accept horrible deaths as Backstreet's residents do or hire a fixer, or pay protection fees to one of the powerful syndicates that enter the nests and be under their care. Some move to a different wing, but this is an exceptionally rare case. The syndicate may charge ridiculously expensive fees, but they will keep you safe for sure once you pay them. If an even stronger syndicate comes in, drives off the offers, and asks you to pay a protection fee, there's no choice but to give your new protectors what they asked for. They'll protect you with their lives as long as you still have the money to pay. The assets will become useless when you die anyhow, so you may as well spend it to extend your life for just a little longer. The former feathers don't have a choice in this matter. If they don't pay the fee, they'll die or get kicked out. It would be a miracle to walk out unharmed. Probably one of my favorite designs in the game. I like Yang a lot. Like, in terms of like a Yakuza design, I think it's like really clean and neat. There are two kinds of folks who hang around in the back streets at night, the predator and the prey. Pretty much everything going on in the city can be described as savage, but the other parts of the city at least put up the effort to package them in gentlemanly guises. Even a cheap hamburger made from whatever unspeakable ingredients is still wrapped up in a modern and rich packing, yeah? On the other hand, the back streets at night are filled with raw and blatant barbarity. Not even a layer of crude cover is there to censor this brutality. No deed is forbidden. No one is held responsible. Imagining the most appalling, vulgar, and filthy deed you could think of. I feel like that's another translation error. I feel like it should be, imagine the most appalling, vulgar, and filthy deed you could think of. I won't dare say beyond your imagination, since I have no idea how insane you might be, but I can guarantee that whatever you're thinking casually happens somewhere in the dark alleys of the back streets at night. Tax evasion. Oh yeah, that's hella brutal. Like, if you evade taxes 4 times, you're fucking dead in the back streets. It's such a brutal death, Festivore. Despite all that, people still inhabit the back streets. They doggedly struggle and survive in their own ways here. Sayo. The hand of the back street is Let's grab a drink and try that again. The hand of the back street is possibly the biggest reason no one dares to take care of the lawless lands that is the back streets. No association or wings can touch it, and not even the head itself can easily interfere. The 5 syndicates at the apex of the back street are called the Thumb, the Index, the Middle, the Ring, and the Pinky, namely. They parcel out districts of the back streets and comprehensively manage their territories, periodically hold meetings to efficiently control the back streets. They call this conference the Finger Bow Bell. Oh my god, we heard of this before, but where? Where did we hear about the Finger Bow Bell? I'm uncertain as to whether this name is meant to suggest that they actually make pinky swears not to invade each other's territories, or if they call it as such simply because the fingers gather in one place. In Index 2 story. Oh, right. Yeah, Sayo's page is the one that helped Torpo solo the first suppression because Ink Out is really fucking good. Like, I used Ink Out up until start of the city. It's that great. Which means it lasted through the tier it was intended for and beyond past Urban Nightmare. The mind of the higher-ups is a mystery, truly. Going back to the topic, when the Finger Bow Bell nears, all members of Five Fingers will try to avoid conflict and refrain from causing big problems. It's thanks to the leaders of each syndicate who cautioned their subordinates that fight between smaller syndicates could grow into a massive conflict between the big ones. Perhaps, if subsidiary syndicates ran into trouble, the seniors at the Finger Bow Bell would be faced with quite the embarrassment now, wouldn't they? What is this page alluding to? But yeah, I have work in the morning, so I'm gonna have to call the stream for today. I'm gonna stream some other stuff going forward, but I think during my off time I'm gonna go ahead and record the rest of the plots as a separate video. That way you'll have like the access to all the other plots when I get to them. But I've been talking for 3 hours straight. I'm tired. Thank you for everybody who stopped by to, you know, like elucidate parts of the plot with me and just enjoy story time.